the recording right now, and welcome Jim Kosteva, Tim Hutchins, and Frank Donovan. And Jim and I know each other, but let's let Jim he just got in the door here, so to say. Jim, do you want to say what you do here for U of M?
I'm the Director of Community Relations by title and work in the Office of the Vice President for Government Relations. So we have personnel that have a role in the university's governmental affairs at federal, state, and local levels.
So I'm just wondering if you'd ever, I'm just wondering if you'd ever run into these guys.
Oh, yeah, well, I work extensively with the IBEW and friends with, as I'm part of the campus delegation that works extensively with the National Training Institute of the former NJATC, and now the Electrical Training Alliance. I think I've got the name or close to it. Yeah.
Oh, that's excellent. I'm so glad to hear that. I worked for many years, in fact, still with Mike Callanan on the National Electrical.
Mike Callanan, sure. Mike Callanan, who actually just left the organization. That's right.
Yeah, he was here. I saw him. I want to take a little bit of credit for putting a bug in his ear back in 1997 when we were working and lunching and hanging out with, writing code, so to say. That I said, University of Michigan is a pretty nice place because we have all these different types. We're a city within a city, and I think that your people might enjoy it. So, although I'm sure that other people sealed the deal, I would like to take credit for the fact that Mike Callan and I sat on the National Electrical Code for about 10 years together and did all that kind of stuff, and it all resulted in something. I sure hope we can hang on to them. So in any case, that's good to know. So thanks for that, Jim. Frank, do you want to say a little bit about what you do?
Yeah. My name is Frank Donovan. I'm the electrical inspector for the city of Jackson. I'm also a member of the Michigan chapter of the International Association of Electrical Inspectors, board member. I'm also serving as the Western Section representative for the Michigan chapter. I'm a past chairperson of the State of Michigan Electrical Administrative Board and past member of the Michigan Electrical Administrative Board. I guess that's a quick summary.
And let's see, then we have Tim Hutchins. Tim, want to say a little something about what you do?
Yeah, yes. I'm the business manager of IBEW Local 252. Jim and I have only had an opportunity to work briefly this past summer. He worked extensively with my predecessor, Greg Stevens, who served as our business manager for 20 years.
Yep.
I'm a master electrician and have been since 2003, and have worked at the University of Michigan on other industrial and commercial, buildings, but most extensively construction at the University of Michigan.
What contractor were you working with?
Well, I worked for Huron Valley Electric for quite a few years. I did a lot of the direct digital control, HVAC controls. And I also worked for JG Squared.
Oh yeah.
Did a lot of fire alarm, throughout the university also.
So you probably laid in a few of my projects.
Perhaps.
Did you ever put any aluminum wiring in?
No.
Okay, so all right, so then you were before my time, or after my time. In any case, well, thanks very much, guys. We try to keep this to a half an hour. We may have to run a little bit more. As I say, we've been working on this since May, and every month we move it along a little bit farther. If you've had a chance to look at the agenda here, is there anybody that, if you had a chance to look at it, was there anything you want to add or subtract, things that you don't want to talk about here, or things you would like to talk about?
I didn't take time to look at that, so if you'll bear with me for a second, I'll just read it while you guys carry on.
Anyone else? Okay, so then let's march through this. I guess what I like to do, as a moderator here on that, I really would prefer that other people talk because there are other voices. But to preface all of that, I just want to let you know, give you an introduction to what we generally do. This is while you were talking there. This is our site that moves by the day. We have another site that actually moves by the year and the month. So we have a strategic site where we deal with some of the larger picture issues. But here, and then also we have a Twitter feed. We operate by the minute. If anybody doubts that standards doesn't move by the minute, please visit our Twitter site. If we keep these in a location here, and this is where this will be filed. So we've had some years, and they're actually fairly well attended. So we just had this one yesterday, and we've already got 6 views on it. Some of our sessions will actually be. Here's one on building automation systems. Since you mentioned building automation systems. We had four people in on this one, and we have 100 views on it. So they seem to be rather well received, and that's very helpful for us in advancing some of our interests as far as keeping costs down and such and so forth. So, in any case, this is where we're going to be keeping our some of the entree. We're migrating from what I call some of the older sites into this newer site, but we still end up coming back to some of the base load type stuff that we, so there's just some concepts that have to be done very quickly, and I don't want to pay a programmer to do it. So that's what that's all about. Let's see, there's only one other site I think I wanted to show you, so you have a sense of what else we do here. Oh, okay, fine. So this is last month, so if you want to know where we were last month, you can hear it here. These are all the people that I invited. I think we might need to invite more. But in any case, so what I'm going to do is I would like Dave and Tim, you guys speak freely, and I guess to help focus it in the interest of time, you know what we're going to be asking for. We have two proposals. We're asking for a stronger representation on this board. We'd like to see explicit what we call user owner. Now remember, the user owner final fiduciary, he's the guy who pays for all the good safety intentions. That's different than a user owner who's the actual inspector. So for example, if you were dealing with Frank Marzinkevich or Ian Steinman here, those individuals' profession is safety, and it's not necessarily economy. And the person, my boss, who has to deal with reconciling those two, has a very weak voice, if one at all. So that's why we call them the user owner final fiduciary, the guy who's paying for all the good intentions. You got to stay in business, and sometimes you just can't conform to everything that comes at you as far as the standards go. And of course, here's the inspection criteria, which I think is a little bit easier for to understand. So I'm going to just give a jump ball at the moment, and I'll let either of these gentlemen, but I think since I work with Jim quite a bit, Frank and Tim, could you talk about a little bit, summarize what you talked just in advance before this call started?
This is Frank Donovan. I think we need to put some kind of qualifier in identifying what minor repair work means, other than just a dollar figure. Like I was saying, if you have a $500 limit on anything, that could be replacing, a fuse in a high voltage switch. And if you don't need to be qualified and a permit not required to do something like that, you could be putting somebody in a potentially fatal position. So just to say a dollar figure, I understand that the reasoning for getting there, that makes sense, and putting a dollar figure on it makes sense as well. But I think we need some qualifiers in here that kind of corral this work to the more menial tasks in electrical installations that are less likely to cause damage to property or material or injury to personnel.
Can I ask how easy or how challenging that is to do and to provide those qualifiers, as opposed to, obviously the language of $100 has been there for ages, irrespective of the complexity or simplicity of the work. Are we going to find ourselves debating for months on end about what activities under $500 would warrant an inspection?
I guess as an AHJ, that $100 limit really limited the amount of work that would be considered minor work. So it took away things that could, the bigger, more dangerous activities. When you jump that figure up, you're opening that scope of work to a larger cross section of electrical work that's being done. I don't know. I never considered what those parameters would be. I'm just suggesting that that would be worthy of exploring. If you said anything under 480 volts, for example, or maybe you limited to 240 volts, or just some kind of a qualifier, limiting factor that takes the danger out of the hands of the unqualified person, because you're going to end up with individuals that have absolutely no training or experience, no formal training or formal experience in electrical work, doing electrical work. You bump that 100 to 500, you're going to open up that the potential for more hazards.
Well, just to fuel the debate a little bit, Paul Gutman's not here. He probably got mixed up in the time problem. But this started out from a number of complaints by our clients that said, why are we getting dinged on these inspection charges? We're just having an electrician run a pipe from a wall outlet box up to the cable tray. And the inspectors, they think, well, gee, there could be 150 volts and above in that cable tray, which is a reasonable thing to think. And then now we have to deal with bonding practices, and so that's what, at least that's one specific of how it started here. So I raised that question. To add to the debate is that you very often can I call them Bixie electricians or signaling electricians. I'm not sure what their qualifications are, but I have a feeling the telecom guys might not have the same qualifications as somebody who's been through a journeyman program with the IBEW. Am I mistaken?
No, you are correct.
What do you call Bixie? I'm sorry, I don't know what they call them. Are they RDSSS? What does the IBEW call a Bixie electrician?
They would be a voice data video classification.
Okay.
We would have installer techs in other areas. They would have Tech 1, Tech 2, based on, would you have Bixie? Do you have, what Bixie level are you? Bixie 3? But part of, the 3-year apprenticeship program that we run here at IBEW Local 252 does not have any formal electrical training. And when I say electrical training, I mean there isn't a part of it that lets them know how to be safe around live circuits. Mm-hmm. Or to even, for that matter, clearly identify what would be live or not. Mm-hmm. At the university, for example, it's primarily 3-phase power with 277-volt lighting. In many buildings, I'll use the undergraduate science building as an example. You have critical power, you have emergency power, you have regular lighting. You have transfer switches in the ceiling of every individual classroom that will transfer power upon loss of Edison power. You have 480 volts in a switch enclosure. There's a divider. However, many people without proper training aren't going to realize it. They're also not going to realize that if you drop the power out to this room, that there is a transfer switch up there that's actually transferring, and still energizing this light or this lighting circuit. Mm-hmm. For me, I have a safety. I'm concerned about the safety of individuals that will be doing things value at $500 or $1,000.
Mm-hmm. Is there a conflict between, when you talk the way you do, it sounds to me there's an inherent conflict between IBEW training and BICSI training?
I don't know that there's a conflict. It's, BICSI doesn't provide, there isn't an electrical license associated with BICSI.
Yeah, okay.
There's an electrical license associated with a DOL apprenticeship for being an electrician.
Yeah, okay. Just for the home gamers here, I wanted the people to see on this recording what BICSI is, and I think so you have some record of what we're talking about here as we talk about BICSI. Okay. All right. So that sounds like a larger discussion about that informs a larger discussion about what the criteria would be for the $100. And I will tell you that when we were up at Lansing, when did we meet there? I think we were actually there in I think October. Paul Gutman and I were there in October. We actually talked to the to Irvin Polk, very cordial, professional, first-rate public servant type discussion, and he's of the mind that something has to be changed here. Now he may be alone in that, but he's also the boss. So I think, but go ahead.
This is Frank. I don't think that there's a lot of opposition to the change in going from $100 to $500 or whatever the dollar figure is. I really don't think that you'll find that much opposition to that from the administrative, from the authority having jurisdiction perspective, because $100 doesn't get you what it did back in '72. It's just the the unqualified people working around a potentially hazardous medium. Mm-hmm. So we need to, if we can address that, I don't think you'd have resistance from many people at all.
Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it. All right, then. I hope you guys will carry that forward. As you see in my notes here, and I am trying to move us along the agenda, we're always welcome to talk more about this after this, but this is just a sort of nominal public vetting of some of our ideas. Sure. Could we bring some of this idea? I can prepare a video clip. I can prepare just a one-pager for your people. But I know that you're having a meeting sometime. This is just for the inspectors. You're meeting in March. I know it's David, who sits with me on the code? David Williams. I'm not sure if that's his area actually, isn't it? Dave Williams?
Yep, that's right in Dave's backyard.
Yeah, okay. So
you're going to want to talk to Walt Stoddard, because Walt Stoddard, he's actually works with UL. He's our first vice president. He will be coordinating that. He'll be putting the program together. So if you'd like, I can give you Walt's phone number. You can give him a call, see if you can even get an hour slot in there with us.
Okay, Walt Stoddard, we'll get email from who is that, Tim or Frank?
This is Frank.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can't tell you, guys. Why don't you talk with some kind of an accent so I can get it right? Anyway, Frank, you can be Irish today, okay? Anyway, I know who's talking. So, okay. What's that?
I said I would be Irish.
Okay. All right. All right. So now let's hasten ourselves then to the other, the board representation here, and this one's a little more subtle. You probably don't see it as much as we do, but we clearly see a difficulty with having what we call incumbent interests outnumbering the guy who's actually paying for stuff. What are your thoughts? Does this? What are your thoughts on this, gentlemen?
This is Frank. I don't see any issue at all with that. I think it's good to have representation across the board. And I personally, I don't think that you'll see much resistance from the electrical inspection industry. As long as there's representation of an electrical inspector, the trades, more the merrier.
Well, remember, that dilutes your vote, right? So whereas your vote would have come for 1/12, it'll be 1/16.
That may be the case, but you get a better cross section of the community, and really it's not about your personal agenda. It's about what's best for the state.
Okay, well that's been our thesis all along, but I have to say that that's not a view widely shared with some of the other board members. Not this one. But remember, we're working with other boards, and while we're here, it looks like I'll probably be able to get David Flint. I'm not sure if you're familiar with David, but he's going to be retained to help me advance some of these ideas and get up to Lansing more often. We're not having much luck getting our trade association help us, so we're just going to be hiring Dave to go and advance some of our agenda elsewhere. That's for your information, Jim. So, okay.
Flint?
David Flint was on the elevator board for many years.
Okay.
And I'm not, guys, Tim or Frank, do you know David?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't.
Okay, anyway, so he's been out there, and he'll be doing other things, of course, but his job will be going to all of these, all these board meetings. I think we've hit them all, frankly. That's not a joke. I think, honestly, I think we've met all of these boards except the boiler board. And in any case, we've been presenting with them a letter. I think I might have a letter of it right here. Where's the sample letter? We've approached each of them and told them in a very soft kind of a way that we would really like to see broader participation, and it looks like I can't find that letter. Somewhere in here is one of our, let's see, is a draft advocacy letter here. No, there's a lot of material on this thing. After a year, you start to accumulate this. All right, so to get us on farther down this agenda then, so I'm glad to hear that. I also would like to let you know that we occasionally on our Twitter feed we do pick up some discussion about what we might want to do. There are some larger issues here. I hadn't read this in much depth. It looked like it allowed us. It looks like other people are having a similar conversation. This is a nice phrase here: regulatory reinvention. To me, frankly, at the standards level, we're continually, by the minute, changing our standards, which are brought up into regulations. So they may call it reinvention, but I do it pretty much by the hour. But if this is the political context that helps people understand what we're doing, then so be it. So that's just some context. I thought that would be an interesting article. You should also know that Rich and I prepared an article for the world standards. That there's sort of the leading body of a lot of the standards now, because we are a global industry. We keep in close touch with the organizations in Geneva that are responsive to the changes in the markets worldwide. So we've been working with them for a number of years, and this is another article that Rich and I. So that gives you some context. This supports the case for broader participation. Let's see what else we have on this agenda here. So that's all right. So here's the link to all the boards. So Dave's not on here right now. I'm going to let my phone go. So for example, we would be going to the next board of McKenna. That will be in February. So Dave would be going to all these meetings. Frankly, I think we're all done with that. Jim, you should know that. I think we're about ready to go and approach JCAR. Now, Dave actually knows, or I think he's presented in front of JCAR a few times. So that might be something where once you get there, you and Dave will probably want to talk, and I'd probably sit in the sidelines. But I think that we're looking at early next year, possibly after the MI-IAEI conference, that we will be approaching JCAR and now working our way up. Now recall that this has been my approach. My boss, Rich, would like to have more of a top-down approach, so we're actually doing both simultaneously. So in any case, it's very helpful to hear people at the point of action support what we're doing. But all of us have been around, enough to know that all your good intentions from the work point may not find themselves the way you want it once you get the politics engaged. So we're not naive about that. Another thing that we can do here is that we're going to once again approach MI-IAEI, the trade association, one of the trade associations that are affected by this. And what we're going to do is we think that we might be, what I'd like to do is host another the next one is actually on January 14th, and this time I promised to get my, ooh, look at that. Okay, so it was 2 to 2:30. In any case, I thought it was 3. In any case, we will have another teleconference probably at Ross, and they actually have some very good teleconferencing services. Jim, you were at this, and this now gives a chance for the people. This is the president of the American National Standards Institute, and we'll now be able to broaden the forum a little bit. People will be able to see each other talking. So I think that might be a way to make what we're doing visible and maybe get other people interested so they can do more of the work, frankly. So Jim, Rich and I are preparing something for them. So that's kind of all I have for this month, folks. Any other reflections, comments, reactions to what I have farther down this agenda?
Not necessarily what you have here, but if you back up, Mike, to where we would put down like some qualifications, I believe it was, or list of activities is what it was, 480. You know, I had talked to you, or when I spoke with you on the phone last week, I mentioned something about homeowner permits. Now that's not in 217.
I can call up that. Do you mind if I call up that email?
No, not at all.
Yeah, okay, I'm not sure. Okay, it looks like it could be my wife. That looks like my daughter. Let's see, Donovan, Donald and Donovan. And I know, I have a feeling, yeah. Let's see, Frank Donovan, you mentioned this. Pull it up here. So here's the first email. Was there another one?
No, I think when we spoke, I mentioned to you about the issue with homeowner permits, and I don't know that it would be this is the right forum for it, but if it is, maybe this is an opportunity to say, okay, if you want to take a homeowner permit out, this is the non-licensed individual, right?
Here we go.
The guy that's most likely to, yeah, there you go. There it is.
Okay, so let's get this in here.
And that could qualify on the, that could work in with the dollar figure for what's considered minor work, although I think this is a separate issue if you really look at it. But it's something that I think bears attention if it's at all possible with this group. And that is to say if you're a homeowner and you want to do this work on your property, then you need to, if for an existing property, you need to have 100% PRE on it, or else we're not going to let you do it. Mm-hmm. And then for new structures, they just have to move in it, say live in it for 6 months, a year, because right now it just says that you will occupy, and people circumvent the licensing and permitting laws daily.
So here's where Jim's experience of the politics comes to bear. I can't imagine legislators wanting to deal with these separately. I think they're going to want to tend to bundle stuff up, and this would be a reasonable thing for them to want to do. Jim, your thoughts?
Well, it may not be a piece of legislation as much as is this an element of the rules, or is this part of the is it at the legislative level?
I don't know off the top of my head if it's the rules or if it's the legislative level. I'd have to dig in real quick.
It's probably the rules. I think it's the rules. Yeah.
I think you're right.
Right. And so yeah, the only legislative oversight comes through JCAR, but yes, Mike's adage of wanting to bundle things up is accurate. As long as they meet sort of that simple and KISS principle of keeping it simple and understandable.
They what they call it, legislation's like making sausage. Just look away when they're actually doing it. So, okay, right.
You enjoy it when you eat it.
Yeah. Okay, so what we'll do there, we are coming on our time constraints. Am I being too oppressive with our 30-minute limit here, guys? Is this? Do you think this is enough to carry forward and think a little bit more until January?
A quick update, yeah. This is good.
Yeah, okay. All right, good. So plan on then a more accurate time slot, we'll meet at Ross, and Jim, I would suggest I'll find one of those conference rooms. It may not be the big one, but there's a number of smaller ones that we'll have, and that way we can put the camera on. Gentlemen, Frank and Tim, you're welcome to come to our business school and give your insight into it. Remember, though, that we're going to have to be dealing with some of these other board rules, but at the moment, my kindred here, my fellow electrical folks, are on my side for the moment, and that's a good start. And I'm very grateful for your time and expertise.
You're very welcome.
Yeah.
Please just let me know if you will, when the meetings are happening, where they're at, or any teleconferences again, and I'll be happy to join in.
Okay.
I appreciate the opportunity.
So you'll be in the loop, and I'll be adding you on this here. So. Okay.
I'd like to be as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. All right. That's it.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, gentlemen. Take care. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.